keen interest in these. Okay, very good.
And that's it.
So let's see, other than that, we've just got the three budget presentations and public comment. Let's go to public comment now, if we could. And as part of the public comment, I wanted to read into the record a letter that's been prepared by our administrative staff. And I'm going to read it in its entirety for the folks who are in the audience who may be watching on GTV. And I'll read it. It's not that long. It's a page and a half. It's dated September 23rd, 2013. It's to Mr. Benjamin D. Frost, the CPG Program Administrator at New Hampshire Housing. The subject line is Town of Goffstown, CPG, Pinardville, Sustainable Community Plan and Smart Code. And the letter reads as follows. Dear Mr. Frost, this letter is to inform you that the town's endeavors under the Community Planning Grant Program for a Sustainable Pinardville have been completed in accordance with our grant agreement to the extent possible by the Plan Pinardville Ad Hoc Committee. New Hampshire RSA 674:2 Roman 1 states that, quote, the purpose of the master plan is to set down as clearly as practically as possible the best and most appropriate future development of the area under the jurisdiction of the planning board, to aid the board in designing ordinances that result in preserving and enhancing the unique quality of life and culture of New Hampshire, end quote. And there's some emphasis added on that last portion of the sentence. This project endeavored to create a plan that could then act as the official policy statement that supported the next step, that being to create a smart code, which we now call a character-based development ordinance. The ad hoc committee met a number of times to work on the development of the Pinardville Community Plan. They provided a succinct list of comments back to the consultant on their original draft, and the consultant made those changes. Staff also helped make any necessary changes to the document to ensure that it was in accordance with comments from the committee and citizens. On August 27, 2013, the ad hoc committee made their last set of recommended changes to the plan and voted 5-0 to recommend adoption of the plan by the planning board. The planning board reviewed and held a public hearing to discuss the Pinardville Community Plan and to consider adopting it as an amendment to the town's master plan on September 12, 2013. There were over 130 people from the community that attended the meeting, mostly voicing opposition to the plan. Consequently, the planning board listened to the people and voted 7-0 to thank the ad hoc committee for their work and to not adopt the plan as an amendment to the town's master plan. The second part of this project was to have a new code regulations called the Character-Based Development Ordinance developed in accordance with the Pinardville Community Plan. Those were pre-developed and submitted by our consultant prior to the adoption of the plan to the town with the hopes that the Pinardville Community Plan would be adopted. Since the plan was not adopted by the planning board, and in light of the public outcry on this project, we feel that our contractual obligations to develop and propose a new plan and code have been met to the farthest extent possible. Any further action to continue developing the character-based development ordinance and or proposing that the planning board hold public hearings to consider these code amendments without the underlying support of an adopted Pinardville Community Plan as part of this project would not be appropriate. We respectfully request that the New Hampshire Housing Finance Authority deem the Town of Goffstown to have met its obligations under the grant agreement and reimburse the town for the remainder of its expenses due to date on this project. Please let us know your decision as soon as possible so that we may direct Brian Rose, the Planning and Zoning Administrator, appropriately as to the next steps towards finalizing this project. Sincerely, and it will be signed by the members of the Goffstown Board of Selectmen. So this basically says that we've asking them to agree that we've completed our contractual obligations. We will not be adopting the plan or the code, and basically putting this whole matter to rest. So, I bring that before the board for your consideration. Have you all had time to read the letter? Do you have any comments on it? Do you want to make any edits to it before we direct the town administrator to contact Brian Rose and work together to issue this letter to Mr. Frost. Is that our wishes?
It's exactly.
I know what's going on. I think it's spot on.
There is a signature one there.
This one?
Yep.
Okay.
If everyone could sign that, we could get that in the mail tomorrow.
Okay. I'd like to take a motion from someone.
That was in the
I think it was in
consensus
the
folder.
consensus folder.
Oh, it was?
Yes, I
Yeah.
added it to the
Okay.
consensus folder.
So we've already done that.
Yeah.
Okay. We're good. I'll sign this and then we can pass it around. And again, I personally would like to thank the ad hoc committee for their hard work, and Brian Rose for kind of being the guy who's riding point on this for the town. But we've heard the wishes of the people, and that's good enough for this board, I guess.
Thank the residents for coming out.
Yeah, I thank them very much. I mean, that's the way the process is supposed to work.
Appreciate it.
It worked the way that I think our forefathers intended it to work, and I'm glad we have come to this conclusion. For those of you who are here for that item, appreciate your support, showing up and voicing your opinions, and thank you very much. Stay involved in local issues and local politics. It's what it's all about.
May I just address a question I had brought forward to read tonight?
Sure.
It's kind of taken a step back, but I'm hoping you folks can educate me as a town resident. And my name's Alice Cacchetti.
Thank you.
I live on Fairview Street in Pinardville. And I wrote it out because I've had really bad cold, so bear with me. My first question is actually two-part, and believe me, it's not accusatory. It's wanting to understand the process of the town more in depth. After listening to Representative Jack Flanagan speak at the information night that was hosted by our Representative John Bird, and I know a couple of you heard him speak because you were there. I know you were there. I don't know, you were there. Sorry, I didn't recognize. But my two-part question is this. How much actual research gets done by either town employees, whether they're paid or appointed or whatever, before that one in particular, but any grant money is accepted? Or is it open-ended? Is it just, oh, there's money? Or is it because there's more to it than that? There's money available, we want it? Or is there's richness in this grant that will serve our citizens, and therefore maybe we should look into it? But I guess I'm curious, how much looking into goes on before we get into something like we went through?
Well, I'll answer that for you. Richness is a good word, because I think that's very accurate. I think what we have is a situation where various members of the community may come forward with an opportunity that may require some grant money, or may come from our town administration, it may come from one of our committees or boards in town who know of grant money for a specific purpose and think it may be a worthwhile endeavor for the town of Goffstown and its citizens. And that's, I think, what happened here. You know, I think it was one of those things where it was good intentioned, and everybody thought, you know, let's give this a try. It sounds like something that we may be able to benefit from. Now, not every plan is a good plan, you know, but I think it's a good community that can react appropriately and step back and say, you know what, okay, we made a mistake. Let's stop here, end it here, and deal with it. And you know, I think that's the way the process is supposed to work.
I agree.
And again, I appreciate there are a lot of people who put in a lot of hours and a lot of hard work. And it's their own free time away from their families, their own personal time. And they all thought they were doing something in the best interest of the community. And nobody had anything else, I'm convinced, other than those good intentions at heart when they set off on this endeavor. Unfortunately, it didn't work out that way, but again, we recognize the mistake, and that's okay.
So then it would behoove the residents, especially of Pinardville, to work together to see what changes or what direction we want to go as a bedroom of the town, and make suggestions to the board. Is that how that begins?
Well, I think it depends on what the issue is you're trying to bring forward.
Let me give you just an example, because I mean, like, my head is spinning with lots of things that can be done. But I like the fact that it's grassroots and that we can take care of our town and we can make it what we want, not with somebody, my concern with somebody coming in from outside and rubber stamping a plan that they've shown elsewhere doesn't make it personal for me. But one thing that I would like to probably make a project for myself is recently in Pinardville, the Public Service Company has put up another transformer, which obviously is necessary for the growth. But has anybody addressed the ability to make that not so, out there? I mean, here we want to make our community look better. That wasn't going to change with Planned Pinardville. Isn't there a way that we can, as a community, I mean, I'm not sure where the property line ends or whatever, to look into that, so we as a community could do a fundraiser to get a fence or get flower, trees or something that wouldn't delay their access in and out, but we don't have to look at it 24/7. It's gross.
Well, that's a great example. And if
You
there's
know?
a way we can do it on town property, absolutely, and in a way that doesn't affect PSNH's operations.
Exactly.
of
We don't
course.
want,
And we have to
don't do
deliver
that.
power reliably, so,
Mhm.
that's a great example if a group wants to get together and come to the selectmen, because, the selectmen we
That's your
oversee the
starting point.
administration of the town
Okay.
with a proposal, and we want to identify the appropriate parties and whatnot. Certainly, it's something we can entertain.
Okay.
I'm wondering, now that we have that idea out there, is that something maybe our town administrator can contact public service to see?
The public service came in a couple times to show what they were doing,
Mhm.
and before they went to the planning board, but they did go through the planning board process. And I remember that specific issue of, I said, it's pretty hidden right now.
Yeah.
And they had some safety concerns, and I don't know if the chief knows of the safety concerns, but there were definitely public safety concerns with keeping it non-visible from the road.
I would think
But
it would be
they
more
did go through the planning board.
Mm.
And I don't know, I lost track of it there, and our representative to the planning board is Selectman Devanzer, and he's not here this evening to comment.
But if that's something you want to bring forward to the Board of Selectmen as a suggestion, a recommendation, a proposal, we're certainly open and receptive to that. Again, we'd have to work through all the legal
Sure.
avenues, and I suspect what they're talking about is there was concern that if you screen it, you can't see what's going on behind it, like,
Exactly.
Kids and whatever.
exactly.
It's under
Activities.
lock and key supposedly. No, and I get that.
Yeah.
But I just think that there's some way we can still make it not such an eyesore. Especially, like I say, every time I drove by it during this whole process, I thought they wanted to make our town prettier. What's this, Maybe we can have a painting party and paint it blue or something.
In answer to Alex's question though, isn't that a more appropriate topic for the planning board? When they're coming, couldn't that have been a condition if?
Correct, but I think it's after the fact
Yeah,
now.
right.
Right, it is, okay.
So now,
So
if
I
the
would trust
citizens
you.
wants to come forward with a proposal, then I don't think we can entertain that.
Okay. And my other question, and it's just kind of, again, it's after the fact, but I'd like to know how we found Brian Wright. How did he get to be the designer? Yeah,
We interviewed
The bid-
5,
It was a big process.
it was big.
and we interviewed, I forget, 4 or 5 different consultants.
And were they given to you as a list of 4 consultants, or did you go looking for them?
No, we advertised.
You advertised?
Yeah.
Okay, just
And-
wanted
and
to
we
know.
got
Request
four.
proposals.
It's important to me, I don't want to be speaking half-truths or falsehoods. And I figure if I come out here and ask the questions, hard, easy, or in the middle, then I'll know what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
I
it
can
was
tell
a
you that
selection committee.
There was, I was on the selection committee, and we interviewed each of the firms
Okay.
individually in person here in Town Hall.
Okay.
And in my opinion, they were by far and away the most qualified, at least on paper.
Well, a lot of people
You've
thought
only
that
got-
too.
you know
They
that-
passed it around.
Well, your first meeting is your first meeting, that was our first meeting.
Actually, they just won an award at a recent conference for their plan for Burlington, Vermont.
Yeah, they did.
So was there a list of contractors that was provided by Southern New Hampshire or New Hampshire Housing Finance that we sent the bids to, or was it just an open?
I
thought
thought
there
it was
was-
I
open,
think it
but
was just an open
Was
request.
there-
I
I
believe
thought
it
it
was
was
just
an
an
open
open.
process.
yeah, it was.
Well, I would hope that would be the case, because if
Yeah.
they gave us the list, I would be not happy with
Yeah,
that.
I'm sure it was
No,
an
I
open
think it was
request.
an
for
open.
proposal.
Usually
Just one more
is.
infringement. Okay, well, thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Anyone else from the public who'd like to comment? Now's the appropriate time.
All right. A couple of things. One is I just want to raise, but the other is, your letter is very logical, and it makes perfect sense to me, but as you know, with the government, logic doesn't always prevail. So, reading the grant, it did seem to sound to me as though part of the deliverables was we had to somehow get that voter down, that smart code, in some official capacity. Wouldn't it be more prudent just to protect ourselves and do that, for all the time it would take them to just take the vote?
Who voted down the board?
The planning board.
did vote it down.
Not the smart code, they did
They,
not.
they only voted down the plan.
Well, I know, but you can't have the smart code without the plan.
Yeah, they kind of go hand in hand.
I
That's why
know.
we're writing this letter to New Hampshire Housing Finance Authority, and if they approve it, then that's where it ends.
Because I just hate to leave the door open even a crack for any problems to come, because it is,
I think
when you
the
read the
letter-
grant, it seems as though you have to do something with that code ordinance
I
part of
think
it.
the letter speaks to that.
Yeah, but like I said, I just get nervous that logic doesn't always rule, and sadly it doesn't, but, so if he doesn't answer you in a certain amount of time, or if you don't get a real conclusive answer from him, as I know that's been an issue in the past, can we just get it before the planning board and let's get the official part done, so that the town can go, okay, we're done with this, and it's finally in the grave?
That's an option if he doesn't respond.
Okay, is there a time limit that you're gonna get, not in the letter, but in your mind, that you have to hear from him?
Yeah, I think within a week he'll
Oh, yeah, we'll
respond.
follow up. We'll-
All right, I'm just concerned, because I don't want this to come back at us a year from now, you didn't do this, you know?
We are concerned too, that's why we tried to cover ourselves in that way.
Okay. Now, somebody brought something to my attention, so I did a little research, and I'm concerned that our town may be in the same position.
I'm sorry, yes, you have to state your name for that.
Oh, I'm sorry, Cheryl Anderson, and Joffrey Street in Pinardville. Sorry about that. I know some of you know me, so I just assumed, yeah.
But formalities are formalities.
And the minute taker does it from the DVD.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. An issue came up in Salem, could I read you just this brief article, because it may affect us, I think. It's they officially pulled out of Granite State Future, which I don't know if you all know, that's the group that the regional planning commissions are under, including Southern New Hampshire. It says Salem Selectmen voted 4-1 on January 14th to finally pull out of a regional planning initiative that was been debated back and forth for months. The planning project titled Granite State Future will still go forward. Salem will just not have a seat at the table of discussions. Selectman Stephen Campbell said he does not subscribe to the philosophies of the group, nor does he believe that Salem's voice will be heard if the town was a member. He said that Granite State Future's outcomes are predetermined by their philosophies. And then he stated, you don't have to believe in conspiracies to disagree with the philosophy behind this. They appear to not be impressed with private property rights or private water rights, and they want to do all this collectively. Now, I won't read the whole rest of the letter, but because it just basically is saying what happened to them. But in conjunction with that, there was an article that in Salem there was a question of whether the selectmen knew the town manager had signed a memorandum of understanding with Granite State Future, a program promoted by the regional planners. After several people viewed a recent copy of Salem's municipal partnership agreement from the Granite State Future, they concluded that the document lists Salem as, quote, committed to sign the MOU, which is the Memorandum of Understanding, and that signing this MOU and/or the subsequent agreement will remove all local control, from the Board of Selectmen and place all land resource management in the hands of federal agencies such as DOT, HUD, and EPA. These agreements, although couched in the terms of local control and stakeholders, are not at all under the control of the local selectmen. So what bothers me is, did we, since we are involved with Granite State Future, did we sign any kind of agreement? Are we a municipal partnership with them? Do you know, you as a selectman, did anybody in the town sign us on?
Now, to the best of my knowledge, we
Because I know- Okay, or a municipal partnership agreement? Because I tried to call them and all I get is answering
We can
machines.
confirm that for you, but to the best of my knowledge, this town has never done that.
Because I would hate to see our town be in the control of the federal government. Because I know David Priest, who's the executive director, was a stakeholder in this whole plan for Pinardville. He's now running the 2nd Street. So I'm concerned that somewhere along the line that could have
Let
happened.
us research that and get back to you on that.
Previous board members, I don't
I
know.
don't believe so, but we will get back to you on that. We'll confirm.
I
Okay.
remember they just asked to put something in the clerk's office, for a survey. type of
Yeah.
thing. That's all I remember.
Because they seem so involved in our town. I mean, Joanne Duffy on zoning is under the Board of Commissioners, and, Henry Boyle is Budget Committee, he's their Board of Commissioners, Bob Griffin's their chair, former Board of Commissioners, so it seems like they're all in our really controlling boards that control the town, and that bothers me that they've got these tentacles out there, and this could Calm down.
Southern New Hampshire Planning Commission Board of Directors are representatives from every community. How many communities are there?
the Board of Commissioners, yeah.
So, every name on their Board of Directors will some kind of spot in the town.
But that's different than signing on to,
Oh, yes.
Yeah, I just wondered though if we had, and I noticed that some towns, like Chester and Raymond, have nobody involved with their, so that's why I wondered. I know there have been a lot of issues with towns that have become members of ICLEI, which I'm sure you know what that is. I know that Wolfboro pays $1,200 a year in tax money as dues for ICLEI, and I think Epping and Keene also belong, and I don't know if we do. I certainly hope we don't. I know there's a 4th town, and they don't say on the website who it is.
Yeah, sure.
But
It's natural.
Oh, Nashville? Okay. All right, because they are the ones that actually, I think, oversee most of the funds down here, the planning commissions in this area. So, it's just nerve-wracking to see all this coming up.
Cheryl, what's it, please?
Okay, I'm gonna tell you right here. The International Council for Local Environmental Initiatives. They're not a good group, let's put it that way. But,
Personal opinion.
yeah, well, yeah, if you reach, it's scary, they're a scary group. But I'm just concerned that we're gonna get too deep into a lot of these grants and a lot of these programs, and we're gonna end up more and more on the hook, and we're gonna lose our control. You guys will have no say in anything, ultimately.
That can't happen unless we allow it to happen, and I know I've lived in Goffstown for 30 years. I know our community's far too sharp.
Yeah.
Well,
I would hope so, yeah,
We have a
but,
video we'll send to you on it.
Oh, okay.
I'll get you.
all right, those are my concerns. Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else who'd like to be heard? Yes.
As you know, I'm Katie Benner from 12 Joffrey Street, and I've become a regular here. And I'm not here to start trouble or to try to chastise anybody. I'm here because I care, all right? I really do. And I just don't want to get involved with the government, and I don't want my town to be bankrupt. I don't want anybody to take my front yard, my backyard, all right? I just want things to be good, all right? And I just want to hold on to my little 100 by 100 lot. That's all what I want, and that's why I'm here again. First of all, I would like to say that I'm still a little nervous about these HUD programs. Very, very nervous, because they're hitting up everybody. As a matter of fact, they're doing a presentation this evening regarding 2nd Street. And I pulled some information. There's New Hampshire Community Planning grants. They're giving money here, there, and everywhere. And Alton, workforce housing, Amherst, water resource protection, Bedford, pedestrian and bicycle master plan, Bow, density transfer credit. That's really very scary. Transfer of development rights ordinance. So it sounds like everybody's going to be signing over their land to the government. You know, we're really, really nervous about all this. And I would like to first ask, I did go see Sue today, and she was very gracious. She answered a lot of questions I had. Thank you very much. And it doesn't seem like we have a rule of books. We don't have a charter. We don't have a rule of books, and the rules are all over the place. I just came in today and to see if I could get a documentation. I'm going to ask this again this evening. I should be able to get a documentation in particular to this grant that was accepted, all right? You have to have a piece of paper showing that you had authority to sign off on this. This is what I'm asking. Because that should be put in the file, all right? And it's hard to find any information. Sue gave me RSA numbers, and geez, I pulled that up today, and just under New Hampshire town laws, all right, there was 2,747 pieces of information I would have to look through to find this. So,
Oh, if it's on a particular grant that you're asking, you were asking about all grants.
well, let's start with one particular grant then.
Oh,
I'll
okay.
make it easier. Maybe I didn't phrase my question,
Okay.
correctly, but could I possibly get, a piece of paper showing that the selectmen had the right to apply for this grant and had a right to accept this grant?
Yes,
All
that
right.
right was given to them by a town meeting in either 1993 or 1994.
Okay, instead of me searching through all this, because I'm finding it very overwhelming, okay, you probably know better, so I'm trying to practice my right to know of this, all right?
Okay,
I just
here's a
wanted to
copy of
see,
that article.
to see what the guidelines are. I mean, we don't want you folks to get us in trouble again, okay? I'm not trying to say this to
I
be
don't
fresh.
think we got you in trouble at all.
No.
Well, it just took it took us to fight tooth and nail,
And I would say that's the process. That's what makes this country great.
Well, it's an exhausting process, and if you see all these people that don't want these things, it should have ended a long time ago. It shouldn't have taken 600 signatures, meeting after meeting. I mean, I can rehash all this, but this was ridiculous. It was outrageous, and it was a stupid plan to begin with, all right? Everybody agreed that. So anyhow, we don't want to go through this again, so we want to see what your authority is, okay? And if the authority is too lenient, we have to change the rules somehow, some way. We have to make it so that before you accept these grants, okay, we the people have to vote on this, all right? You can't just take something and we will suffer the outcome with. We can't let that. There's gotta be a rule that changes.
Yeah, I can tell you this, the authority is founded in state law and statute. That's the founding principles. And from there, the statute gives municipalities the authority to take certain actions, one of those being to accept grants, apply for and accept grants and expend them, going through the proper process, and the process is all laid out in state law as to how the process must flow, and we have to follow that state law as anyone would, and as we did in this process. So.
There was a public hearing. What the state law says, that if you give the selectmen the authority, which town meeting gave the selectmen the authority to accept and expend money from any source, whether it's grants or donations, but they're required to notice a public hearing 7 days prior to that public hearing. And that public hearing was held, and there was probably no public input, because we haven't had public input until this point.